Well, thank you for coming on the red carpet round table.
Yeah, I am just absolutely thrilled to be a part of it. I appreciate, any sort of opportunity to talk through the indie film space and everything, we have going on, me and my team. And so I was just thrilled to be a part of it.
I'm so excited. What attracted you to begin your acting career? Because I know a lot of folks who is following you is
Yeah.
probably wondering what got you into this. I don't want to say crazy journey, but a
Oh, it's
fun.
crazy. That's well said.
Well, it's fun, but it is hard being
Yeah.
in the entertainment industry. But we'll touch base on that in a minute. But what attracted you to get into this in industry?
Oh gosh, it's such a long story. I'll kind of briefly touch on it, but entertainment has been, oh, of course, my dog. Hold on just a second. I knew, okay.
Sorry.
So I've been in entertainment now for since I was a kid, really, starting with music. And so I grew up singing and playing different instruments. It was just always a part of our household. And I really pursued the music side of things. I went to Nashville, I recorded a few singles, I released them on iTunes and Spotify, and was really just trying to decide if that was the route that I wanted to take, while in the meantime, kind of setting up a corporate background in government contracting. I have an engineering degree. And so I was kind of doing them both simultaneously and kind of seeing what served me and my happiness and how I could make both of those molds fit, kind of create some financial stability, but also pursue my passions. So I went out to Nashville, I did the thing, ultimately decided that like the touring lifestyle and the music industry and everything that comes with that just was probably going to ruin it for me. And it was too sacred to me, to have that ruined. So I came back out to Southern California at the time, and I had a guitarist, and we were doing all kinds of little shows just locally, and then COVID hit, right? I have watched TV and movies and really felt connected to certain characters since I was a kid. I can name you a handful of shows and movies that were at the top
Hmm.
of my list as a kid. And I'm sure you're the same, where it's like you have those key movies when you were growing up, and it's like you know every word. You know every word, you know every music comp, you know exactly what happens, and they're still so special. And so COVID hit, and I wasn't, everything shut down with music. And my husband actually, he has been doing acting classes for many years, and he just saw how that impacted me, just my happiness. I got very depressed. I didn't have a creative outlet. And he said, I think you should try some acting classes. And honestly, that was that. And it just has taken off from there. There's just been a lot of opportunity where I've been able to utilize both my corporate background, my music background,
Hmm.
that's really served me in the acting space. And gosh, it has been a ball. I'm somebody that really lives for life experiences.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I want to be 90 years old and be like, I lived the absolute
The
most out
next
of,
Betty White.
yeah. And just like really, just for me, it's just all about experiences,
Hmm.
and if I can utilize my personal experience, nobody gets to do this. We live in such a concentrated area, in Southern California, where it feels like everybody's chasing entertainment, everybody's doing it.
Hmm.
But really, in the global perspective, nobody gets to do these things. And so it's really phenomenal when you get a chance to work with others that have that same mind frame and mind space and just want to affect some sort of connection with the audience. And that's what I'm looking for, the experience of it, and just to be able to affect some sort of connection, with anybody who's watching. I know there were some, I mean, even like back in like the CW, the TV melodramas, like the soap operas or whatever, watching some of those as a kid and being like, oh my gosh, I can go to school tomorrow because I feel like somebody gets me, or I can relate to somebody, even if it's just a fictional
Hmm.
character, so that's why I'm in it. That's how I got here.
Well, it's true. It's a phenomenal and it's a fun industry,
Mhm.
and people
Yeah.
say it's tough and it is, but it's also fun, and it's not like a competition, You know,
Mhm.
people think it's a competition. It's not. You could be living anywhere in the 50 states, and it's just crazy that there's actors in every state
Mhm.
trying to pursue and follow their own dream. And one thing I love about the entertainment industry is that finally that they're acting stuff and entertainment going in their own state, their own they can make films, their
Yeah.
own stunts and all that.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
truly amazing. So
It
I want to
is.
dig into real quick is
Yeah.
that have you noticed between music
Mhm.
and the acting entertainment? Because
Mhm.
I know there are some actors out there who do singing and who do acting as well, and they live
Mhm.
in New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco, anywhere in the United States, Nashville as well.
Mhm.
Because I know Reba did Reba's show, back then.
Yeah.
So, what have you noticed the big difference? Because I know a lot of people may
Oh
be wondering
gosh.
that.
Yeah, I mean, this is there are so many parallels, but there are so many differences, you know. With my music background and also touching my feet into producing and
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes work, what I notice as an audience member is how much the music impacts me. So they're very
Okay.
complementary. When you're watching a film and it's a really heavy moment and the character is going through something very profound, the performance, the acting performance is so important, but what also pulls at your heartstrings is the music, right? I think music impacts everybody every day, all of the time. I think we all live through and with music in a way and at a frequency and amount that we don't even realize. And then when you have a chance to utilize that music to evoke that personal connection through an actor's performance, I mean, it is such a complementary medium, right? The
Mm-hmm.
acting and the music. And so for me, you know, singing and performing on a stage also has so many parallel skill sets that I've been able to bring into acting, right? You have to, be comfortable being vulnerable. Being
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable in your voice on stage is not significantly different from being vulnerable in front of a camera. The medium is just a little bit different, right? We're living through a profound, scripted, circumstance. And through music, we're living through a profound scripted circumstance. It's just one
Okay.
is
Mm-hmm.
singing and one is, just talking or verbal form or sometimes nonverbal form, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many things that I've been able to pull from that experience, and even touching on corporate experience, and being able to pull some of those skill sets in my background into the business side of the acting and the producing, but also even into the performance side. I can't tell you, I did sales for military weapon systems, the big drones, the big military drones. And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten material that had military, tactical, government official, type roles in it. And to be able to pull from that background and into the performance, it's not something unfamiliar or unknown to me anymore. And that comes across. So I think having a very diverse background has really served me. And I've been able to utilize those skill sets from music, from corporate, from government contracting, from interacting with military folks, all of these different pieces. And when there's a role that really speaks to you and kind of you can really serve it that way with
Mm-hmm.
and pull from those experiences, it comes across. So it's so multifactorial, but all so complementary when it all comes together.
Wow. A lot of people, they want to get in the entertainment industry and they have a hard time deciding,
Yeah.
music or acting because if they can do it. And I think that they're wondering, is it tough to do both? Because
It is.
acting and singing, and you said it
It is.
is.
It is.
And why do you say it is?
Oh gosh, because it gets into, and I have to exercise this, not just in just music or acting in front of the camera, but also behind the camera and in
Mm-hmm.
corporate life, right? You can be a master, of one trade, or you can be a jack of all trades.
Hmm.
And that was something my dad kind of instilled in me. And, you can tell when one person is wearing too many hats. And I was just like, there are people that are genius level guitarists. There are people that are genius level film comps, genius level, producers, DPs, whatever they are, right? And so when you're trying to decide what is the path that I want to take, or for me, my personal decision was, well, I can focus on this one thing and be really phenomenal at it. Or I can focus my energies throughout multiple things and probably be average at best, right? So I'm somebody that's like real big into finding your tribe and finding your team. Who's good at X, Y, and Z? Let's bring them on the team, right? Instead of trying to do it all myself. So when I was choosing between singing and acting, there's been times when, of course, I miss music. Music will always be my first love, right? And there's times every once in a while I'll be like, man, I really just want a jam session. I just want to go find a guitarist. Maybe I can just pepper in this time for a little acoustic sideshow or this, but I'm only giving half my energy to it, and
Hmm.
so I made the choice at the time that I felt I could live a little bit more through some of those experiences that we talked about through acting. So that was my choice. But it very much is a personal choice. But if I'm trying to make advice to somebody who's having a hard time, choosing or wants to do it all, I mean, do it all as long as you can, but also have the self-awareness to know when it's at the expense of the other,
Hmm. Very
right?
true.
Yeah.
One thing I want everybody wants to know is how tough is this entertainment industry? Because I know a lot of people are saying it's not easy and dandy.
No,
No.
no, it is not at all. It's so difficult. It is like the amount of resilience that it requires, is phenomenal. The industry right now, the state of the industry, there is not a lot of room for developmental talent. There is a lot of consolidation going on. And I think in general, it makes it tough, and you have to be even more resilient and find and carve your own path. So that's really what I'm trying to focus on doing with, a couple folks that I've partnered up with,
Hmm.
putting together content that we are making, we are self-producing, we're putting out into the world, bringing those folks on my team that are really good at what they do,
Hmm.
and then working together to collaborate on a project that then the world can go experience. Because right now it's just really, really hard to get ahead through traditional methods like auditions and agents and managers. There's just such a limited amount of work right now that I feel personally that trying to develop myself through those means is kind of a sum nothing. It's like a needle in a haystack. It always has been a
Hmm.
needle in a haystack, but now it's like the haystack got twice as large. You
Right.
know? So, it's very, very tough right now.
Right.
You have to just figure out what your strategy is, what you're good at, what your niche.
Hmm.
And right now, what for me, I think is going to be the better option where I can still get enjoyment and not feel frustrated by the downturn in work, not feel frustrated that, there's a lot of pretty blondes that are out there auditioning for the same things that I am, and they have
Hmm.
much bigger credits than I have, and they have existing relationships with casting directors from 10, 15 years ago, maybe,
Hmm.
so those are the things that I'm like, well, I think I need to strategize and develop something for myself that I can still enjoy it. And so we're just creating a lot of our own content,
Hmm.
you
That's true.
know,
You know,
but
and
that's,
also I would say
yeah,
it's not a competition. I mean, I don't know if you agree, but it's like we're all in this together.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
no, because a lot of people who want to get in the entertainment industry, they think that we're all against each other, but we're not. We all,
No, the community is,
we all
yeah,
support each other, and I think that's
yes.
one thing I love about social media. It's like, especially Instagram, go Instagram. Anyway, so um, because we have that connection, the
Mm,
bond, right?
yeah.
You connect through Instagram, you follow each other, and you get all that support, and you get the messages and comments and from
Mm,
different places, different states, and it's like you get you sit there and you just look at all those and you're just like mind blowing because all
Mhm.
the support that you're getting from random people, your
Yeah.
fans, and other actors and directors out there that we may never meet or may meet, and it's so heartwarming and happiness that we get that support out there.
Hmm. And I think, the indie filmmaking community has an amount of like camaraderie and cohesiveness that is kind of unparalleled in other industries. I
Mm-hmm.
think because of the state of the industry and because there is really this sense that like we're all in the trenches together, just trying to kind of scrape by and claw and put out our passions, right? And do it together. And, you can't do it yourself. You can't do it
Right.
on your own. You have to have a team. You have to put it together. You can't be on set. It can't be a one-person show. Like, so there's
Mm-hmm.
already like an inherent and innate teamwork and sense of camaraderie that comes with just being involved in it. And
Amen.
then you add the resilience factor and that it's hard. It is so hard to get a project going, to get it done, to film it, to finance it, to get it through post-production, to get it into a distributor, to get it released. It takes an army. I mean, it really
Mm-hmm.
does. And so I think you build relationships in the industry and the indie side of the industry is just so great about it. That I have met some of the most phenomenal people, that not only will they have your back in a production, but they'll have your back when you're stuck on the side of the road,
That's
right?
true.
And so that resilience that's needed to even be a part of the industry carries over into personal relationships as well. And it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I want to touch base, if you don't mind, the AIs, because
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of actors and directors have opinion on this as well.
Sure.
AIs, it's crazy what's going
Mhm.
on, and the technology is great, but what do you want to say to the world about the problem with AI interfering with the entertainment industry? We have a
I
problem with
have
that.
an interesting background to touch on this. I've contracted for companies like Microsoft that are really promoting the use of, Copilot and AI-based products. With my background in military sales, there's a lot of, I mean, I worked in autonomous AI-based software platforms for military drones, so there's a corporate background that I think is kind of overflowing into the creative community that doesn't necessarily garner a one-to-one use case. What I mean by that is I think the most synonymous thing I could compare it to in film is when VFX started coming up. And there was this
Mhm.
big push to always do things practically, and the practical way was the right way, and that was the only way. And there was a school of thought about that, and I understand that school of thought. But then slowly and surely, you started seeing the VFX augmenting, not replacing, augmenting the practical effects. And I feel like if I had to speak about the use of AI within the film community, I would love to see it emerge in a somewhat similar way to how the visual effects have,
Hmm.
where it
Hmm.
augments and it's like the icing on the cake, but never the foundation of the cake.
There, you said it.
Exactly. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I do listen, we're in a digital age, and I think there's going to be a use and a place for AI and for software-based technologies. And you can't deny some of the cost savings that come with that. But that, in my opinion, should always be the nice to have, not the must have.
Hmm. Very true.
And I think the, screenplays should never be written by AI. The human experience is such a big part of filmmaking, and replacing that with something that is not human, that just feels inherently disingenuous,
Right. Because we
right?
humans, we're
Yeah.
the one who does the emotions, the characters.
Yeah. And there's not going to be any amount of replication or AI development, I think, that can replace that.
Right.
Like I said, like, do I think it can augment it and serve it to elevate it in certain areas, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be silly to think otherwise. I'm also a
Hmm.
business and I understand cost efficacy and I understand, that there's a financial use case with it, but it's never going to be as, I mean, I scroll through Instagram, right? And my eyeball, your brain is wired and it understands when it's not seeing something authentic. And,
I've noticed that.
yeah, you'll scroll through something, you'll be like, wow, this person is really good looking, right? And then you go to the account and you're like, this person is too good looking. They're too perfect. And you know immediately that it's AI and that it's not a real
Yeah,
person.
it gets you for a minute because it's
It
kind of like
does. At first,
you
it
look
throws you.
at it,
You're
you're
like, who
like,
is this magical
yeah,
individual?
you're like, that's
Like,
so cool. And you show your friends, and everybody's like,
I
that's
know
so
you're like,
cool.
look at
And
this
then,
genetic artery. You know what I mean?
right. And then, but you're
Yeah,
right. And then it's like when you and your friends are sitting there, like, hold on, let's look at this again. And you're looking really good, and you're like, no, this can't be.
because the movement is not. I think AI utilizes patterns, right? Patterns and
Hmm.
behavior, patterns and movement. It utilizes patterns to develop the technology and develop the character, the persona, whoever. The problem is so much of our humanity is not a pattern. It's completely arbitrary, right? So if you have a sneeze, that is a human behavior that is completely arbitrary,
Hmm.
cannot be predicted, right? If you move
Right.
a certain way, but then somebody calls you back and you twitch back like this, right? AI will never be able to
No,
predict
that's us as
that.
human doing that.
Yeah. So that's why our brain immediately catches it as inauthentic because it's too perfect looking. The
Right.
response mechanisms are not arbitrary enough. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yes, I totally do. No,
So I feel like I went down a rabbit hole.
no, because a
You know,
lot of people, with the my mind just went blank, sorry, with the
no,
writer's
you're good.
strike, with the SAG
Yeah,
strike, and
yeah,
what was so amazing, a lot of people love is the indie films, the independent films, the SAG actors, everybody, we came together and said, wait a minute, hold
yeah.
on,
There's
you
something
know,
wrong about this.
and
Yep.
we all support each other, and that's one thing I love about
Mm,
the film industry. We love each
yep.
other, we support each other.
Yeah.
Um, Now I want to dig into what is yourself,
Uh-huh.
what is your next upcoming project, if you're allowed to talk about it,
Oh,
and
I am. It's very exciting
and
time right now.
tell the
Yep.
titles, and if it's when can we see it,
Yeah.
and let the audience know what's so exciting, what can we look forward to?
Yes, yes. So 2025 is going to be a big year for both myself and the group of folks that I work with. We have several films coming out. We had one just drop on Apple TV called When It Rains in LA. You know,
Congratulations.
thank you. Horror thriller. We had our big premiere at the Chinese Theater. It was lovely. I had a great time there. I had a great time on that project, but you got to keep it moving, right? So last year we filmed kind of a post-apocalyptic action
Mm-hmm.
we have coming out called Blackout, and there is just so much excitement about this project. We are, working through post-production. We're just finishing up VFX. And in the meantime, we just filmed last week that other project I mentioned when we just hopped on here. That one is called Last Hit. Also like a heist action thriller kind of a movie. We have some great team partners here. We partnered with Red Cine Films and David Mitch Parks to help direct and DP both of those projects. We also partnered with Mike Ferguson and Tawana Barnett. So, big, TV personalities. Tawana was of, Women of Wrestling, and she most recently was the runner-up on Beast Games. So it was such a cool time. Mike Ferguson is Bounty Hunter on YouTube. He has a huge following. So it was a really great time to partner up with them, to work on these really fun action films that could really utilize their strengths and utilize my strengths. So I have some stunt training, with my military background. Some of these characters, call for being
Wow, I'm so
government
excited to see this.
contractors. And yeah, so it was nice. So when I say create your own content, and talk about the team around you. So there were strengths that both Mike had and Tawana had, their presence, their projects, their character types, right? My archetype with my background, and then utilizing the production services and expertise of Red Cine Films, who's done over 100 films at this time, to really establish the team and put together a couple projects that'll be super entertaining, very high production value, and get them pushed to the end. So we're expecting those two to come out probably summertime. Yeah.
All right. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see that.
Yeah.
And if I mind asking, is it going to be out in theaters or is it going to be on Amazon Prime, Apple
Oh, we're
TV,
working on both. We're working
Netflix
on
maybe?
both. Oh, I don't know. We'll see. We're working on the acquisition deals right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have some interest from some theatrical distributors. So, we'll pitch it as a slate and see where that all lands. But a lot of excitement, a lot of interest in it. I also have a project that just wrapped last night in San Diego called Land of Wolves. Very like, Taylor Sheridan's like Landman. So it's very much
Wow.
a crime, Western. I played a police, agent for that, an FBI agent. And that was a really fun movie as well with a lot of action elements. And, it was good to be a part of the San Diego film community. It's a little bit smaller down here, so I take projects pretty selectively. But that's really fun too. And then lastly, I have a project in development. We shot a proof of concept for it. And it's a female-led military action film. And we filmed that down here in San Diego. And, we have a lot of, we have buy-in right now from Camp Pendleton for the full
Mm-hmm.
feature film, so we're working through our attachments and our film financing. But, it's about the combat exclusion policy and the first female recon Marine. So
Wow, you have so many
government
projects.
corruption and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's
It's a
amazing.
lot of fun.
I'm so excited for you. You have so many projects coming.
Yeah.
It's really I can't wait to see it.
It's a really exciting team. There's a lot of momentum right now. We're really capitalizing on everything that everybody can do. We're really in it together. There's a lot of friend favors going on. We're coming to set sometimes free of charge because that's what you got to do sometimes. You got a limited
Hmm.
budget, but it's for the benefit of the group.
But you just
So,
said it right. If you pardon me, you said it right there, friends.
yeah.
And that's another thing. I keep bringing this up every time, but that's one thing I love about the entertainment industry is that
Yeah.
you become friends and family on set.
Yeah, you really
You
do
really
because you're
do.
in
And it's
it. You're in
you
it.
you
Yep.
get to know each other, you care
Yeah.
for each other,
Yeah.
and that's what I love, the
Yeah.
bond friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some people that I have worked with, in my immediate team and in my extended, network, that, if some, if for whatever reason we had to part ways or whatever, who knows, I would never forget them for the rest of my life.
Yes, that's
And that's
true.
saying something that's very profound, because when we think about, everybody has an expiration date. And when you think about what's important to you, so much of it is the relationships that you had,
You just
you
said it
know,
right there.
yeah.
Relationship.
And people in
Always
film,
remember the
just a
good
different
times.
breed that way.
Yeah. We
So,
always want to remember the good times, not the bad times.
yeah, that's right. And even if you do remember the bad times, what you tend to remember is the people that help you get through it.
Yes.
Right. So I think that that's such a profound piece of the human experience. And I love that about the filmmaking community. I love that
Hmm.
about creatives in general. Music was
Right.
the same way. It was just it's like this unspoken kinship that you have. And when people really believe in something and are in it together, you feel it.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I totally agree
Yeah.
with you. What is your favorite genre and why?
Oh gosh. Oh, such a big question. I mean, I'd have to go for action first, right? There is nothing cooler
Okay.
than seeing yourself
Mm-hmm.
flying through the air, throwing punch, doing the things that you can't do in your normal life. If you think about film, right? We're all in it to like for this experience that we don't currently have, right? I can't do this in normal life. I can't, the horror genre is equally as exciting because it's not, you're going through a profound traumatic experience maybe, and the psych thrillers are really neat, and you get a chance to kind of to live through those things and just
I
escape
totally
from
get
your
you,
life.
action movie, like when you be a police officer,
So
when you watch these
cool.
police shows, you see
Yeah.
these actors writing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got to chase down somebody," you know,
Oh
with
my, just
guns.
last night, I'm like, we're in a shootout, we're in a shootout, shots fired, shots fired, So, it's cool. And you're running and playing another person that you didn't, I think Harrison Ford said it best. I heard an interview with him and they were talking about his experiences on set and how he manages being away from his family for a long time. And he's like, listen, I have lived 80 lives at this point. Think about how simple but profound. I have lived 80 lives because he had done 80 films or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Um, and it's really true.
Hmm.
Like that's really true. I
Star
mean,
Wars and
yeah,
Indiana
I wrapped up
Jones.
these two films and this week I remember, I always have my little suitcase with my costumes, right? For my character that I try. And I remember closing the lid on the suitcase this week and I was like, well, that's it for Lana. That was her character name. And I was like, that's a wrap on Lana. And
Yeah.
it's not just from the filming perspective, it's like that's a life. That's a chapter of my life that I'm
Hmm.
closing right
You
now,
know,
you know?
one thing I would say, once you become a Star Wars character,
Yeah.
you're a Star Wars person forever.
You are. There's those big franchises where you can't get away from it for
No,
sure.
and it's true because you have like the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show on Disney. You know, you have those two actors back, the young who became Darth Vader, but he just said, you know, it just brings those two said it brought emotional for those two men
Yeah.
because it's been a while since they saw each other.
Yeah.
I mean, but they probably kept in touch, but they're like it's
Yeah.
emotional because it's like they're on a start, you know, that's where they originally started, Star Wars at a young age.
That's what
And you're
dreams are
right.
made of, and you're sharing it with somebody. So when
Yes.
you get a chance, but it's still, a job, it's still a colleague, it's still a coworker,
Right. But you have
but
that
when you
memory.
you have that memory and it's like you're like, this is where my dreams were made. This
Yeah.
is an experience, like I said, that you are not going to forget for the rest of your life.
No.
And
And
so
then when May 4th comes, you always say, May the force be
may the
with
fourth
you.
be with you, and you think of it fondly, and it just
You know, that's why you hear Harrison Ford and all the Star Wars actor get so excited on May the 4th. And it's like, yeah, because that's their memory. That's their, you know, yes, you're right, you get paid for it, but also it is a really true memory. It is a
yeah,
memory that you are get to live in a character all
yeah,
year round, and it's like it's a memory. And you have all the Star Wars fans. You know, Star Wars is still playing 24/7 on Disney
yeah,
Plus. You have all
it
the,
is.
you know, you can YouTube all the characters and the old ones, and then it's so amazing how
Mhm.
all the Star Wars, you know, they just love it. The fans love them, and they just
Well,
keep
because they've been with them for so
yes,
long. Like if when we talk about, like we mentioned, like affecting change and connecting with the audience and that being such a big element of entertainment and film, you've connected with these people and they have watched the storyline. They feel like this is their family. These are their
yes,
their people. These
and
are,
that's why.
and yeah.
Pardon me, I'm sorry. That's why
No,
Star
you're
Wars
good.
can never end.
Yeah, it can't. It can't. Although I will say there's currently like, an undertow within the film industry to just like make another one, and I am ready for like that next big innovative idea. And I'm hopeful that as we get into 25 and 26, there does seem to be this undercurrent of want and demand for innovative indie film.
Hmm.
And I'm really excited about that. And I hope that that tidal wave continues to grow because I do feel like, there is definitely a little bit of an audience backlash right now for just remaking or redoing or putting out another one or, and I think that there's a real interest in something new and exciting.
Yes.
I hope that I'm a part of it, you know?
You
So
never know.
it's cool. Yeah.
100%, 100%. That is
Yeah.
the truth. And I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, I know the audience would like to know, what do you do for fun when you're
Yeah.
not acting? When you're just yourself
Oh
and
gosh.
you're
Yeah.
not on set, you can just relax. Do you go
Yeah.
hiking, go to the beach?
I
What do you do
do.
for
I
fun?
mean, I hike a lot. I mean, I love to travel. I love to experience other cultures, other things, other ways of life. Um, and so, when I have time, I go and I travel. I just went to the Gulf of California in Mexico, right? And we did this big ocean safari and we did ATVs through the sand dunes and we
Mm-hmm.
took a cooking class and I mean it was lovely. A couple weeks before that, I was in La Jolla. The leopard sharks are all in La Jolla right now, and I swam with the leopard sharks. So I'm really big in my time away from film and going and experiencing either my local neighborhood or my regional neighborhood, and even traveling, internationally. God willing, I'll get some of those film projects where I get to do that while I'm working, right?
Yes,
So
hopefully so.
yeah, so filming, overseas and doing some cool action movie overseas just sounds phenomenal to me. And it's kind of one of those bucket list things that what I would love to do.
I know it happens
Um,
soon.
yeah. And so for me, I mean, I want to experience as much of the globe, as much as a life experience as I possibly can,
Hmm.
just feel like that is so satisfying, to be open-minded and learn about new things and new people and how they do things and why they do things. And I just find that so fascinating. And I love those experiences. So that's what I'm doing in my free time.
And what is your dream country you want to visit?
Oh my gosh, I have two dream trips. Okay. The first one is I want to go to Africa and I want to do an East Africa safari. And then they also have where you can like do a combo trip and go to Seychelles. So
Okay.
I'm like, I need to see like a cheetah, like look me in the eyeballs. You know what I mean? Like, and then
You
the
don't want to
other,
be chased by one, but you just
no,
want to
I
look.
just want to look at it. See like a lion like ripping apart a wildebeest just to say I like saw it with my own two eyes, you know?
You want to see it.
Yeah, I gotta see it. Like I don't want to see like I'll see a picture of something and be like, I gotta see that with my own eyeballs. Like that's how I pick where I'm going to go. I'll see a photo, a video, or something, and I'm like, no, I gotta be there and see that myself.
Hmm.
You know. And then the other one is I'm dying to go to an area in Australia called the Whitsundays, and the Great Barrier Reef is right there. And with all of the global climate change and everything
Right.
that's going
And
on and the degradation of the reef right now, I just don't know how
hmm
long it'll be around. And I feel like I need to see that.
another
Um,
one where you have to see with your own eyes.
I have to see with my own eyes. I need to see like Nemo going in and out of the little plants. Like I need to see that. What is it? Anemone? I don't know what it's called. It's this little.
Right. What is the most craziest food you ever had?
Okay. I have a good answer for this. So I was a Costa Rican exchange student when I was in high school.
Okay.
Okay. And one big, I think it's considered a delicacy. It's called tripe. Do you know it?
No.
Okay. It's pig intestine.
What?
Yeah, it's pig intestines and they put it in a soup and it's tripe soup. And so I had a little bit of that and that was not for me. And that's okay. But it's like a delicacy there. But I haven't had like cow eyeballs or anything. I think the texture of that might get me. But yeah, I
Did you
have.
know? I'm sorry, I have to ask. Did you know if it was what you're eating, and or after you finish it, then that's when they told
So
you?
so the gal that was staying with a family that made this on the regular, the first time she had it, she did not know. But then she told me and they had it. And so I knew ahead of time. So it was like she had to deal with the trial by fire and I was fine with that. But
Wow.
yeah, yep,
That's that's crazy. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah,
That's
try. Hmm.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, what is something you really want to try? Like any food?
You know, I have a couple answers for this. Number one, so I was traveling in Australia and I went to this little street food market and it was an Asian-based street food market, more in like Asia Pacific, right?
Hmm.
So I had the best Thai food of my entire life and nothing has even come close. And so I'm low-key dying to go closer to Thailand or to Thailand just at the opportunity that I might be able to taste that again. So it's not like a first time try, clearly, but oh my God, it was so good. It's called Spice Alley. It's in Sydney. Go find it. Um, but I really would like to. I mean, part of the reason Africa is of such interest to me is because I would love to just try African food. That's
Hmm.
not big in the United States. Or I certainly haven't ex taken the time to explore it. If I'm going to try kind of, I don't want to say out there, but culturally significantly different palates than what I'm used to, I want to taste it in country. Because I feel like so much of food, I love to cook as well in my spare time. So I've done a lot of, yeah. Um, so much of food is based on the local resources and farming practices and ingredients. You have Italian food in the US and it don't taste the same as when you go to
No.
Italy, even if they make it the exact same way. And it's because the farming techniques are different, the soil is different, the animals are different. There's like a dairy pasture in Australia called Gippsland, and they make the best yogurt and dairy products. And I mean, I had them when I was there, and I was like, why is this so much better? It's Greek yogurt. It can't be that difficult, right? But why is it so much better than back home?
Hmm.
And so I did some research on it, and the dairy, the grass, the pasture, and the way they farm those animals in that area of Australia is what lends to it tasting so much better. And so when I travel to Europe and I travel overseas, and they're much more, rooted in not these large manufacturing farms, but the smaller local sourced farms that come from the soil hasn't been overworked, the animals haven't been overworked, they're being fed, naturally, they're naturally grazing,
Hmm.
animals are not being fed, corn feed or soy feed or things like that. And the food is just phenomenal. So I would like to try anything that is significantly different from my palate, and local to whatever there is.
Wow. You just love
Yeah.
to try anything.
Oh, I'll try anything once. I'll talk to anybody. I'm just a very open-minded individual, because
Same
that's like
here.
how I feel like I'm going to get the most out of life is by taking as much of it in as I possibly can.
You should go visit Japan and South Korea too.
I've been to Japan
Okay.
and it was phenomenal. It
Where
was
did you go in
absolutely
Japan?
phenomenal. I have never seen a culture that is so A, clean, right? I was in Tokyo and I went to Kyoto. B,
Because
polite.
I'm from Japan.
Oh, okay, so you know. Yeah. No, I adored Japan. The customs there. I remember I saw like this heartwarming moment. I was just sitting and my friend had gone to the restroom and we were in like this retail plaza or whatever, and these two Japanese women came up to it together and they clearly hadn't seen each other in a while, but they were probably like best friends, right? And they came up and it was just like because they always cover their mouth, but but they don't hug, right? It's not like a hugging community,
Mhm.
but they were so excited to see each other. And it was just watching it was a cultural experience because they don't express love the same way that Americans do,
Right. So
you
in
know?
Japan, we
Yeah.
don't know, there's no hugging.
No.
Um, there's holding hands. You see
Yeah.
couples holding hands, but
But
there's
even
no,
that's kind of rare in public, right?
you see it,
Yeah.
young couples holding
Yeah.
hands,
Hmm.
but it's like there's no hugging. Holding
No.
hands, it's okay, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're right. We do have, if we're clean, we take off our shoes in the house, we bow.
I
Um,
couldn't even believe too, there were all of these stories with because I had some coworkers in Japan and it was like, you could be on the bullet train and you could leave your wallet,
mhm.
come back 3 hours later and your wallet would still be there.
Or you can call the train station
Yep.
where the train's going,
Yeah.
and it'll go all the way to the
Somebody
final
will,
destination, and you
and
can
somebody
call
will
when
have,
they're cleaning it. They'll have
yep.
it for you and take the next bullet train, go all the way down
Yeah.
there, and they'll give it to you.
But they don't believe in stealing. Like there's no trash, there's no graffiti, there's no homeless. Like it's such a beautiful culture.
I
It's
mean,
such
there is homeless, but it's not as bad.
yeah, it's not prevalent like it is
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
The respect for the elderly, the care for the elderly, the importance of the culture and the way of life. Like it was, I had a phenomenal trip to Japan. I'd go back in a
yeah.
second. It was
And I don't know if
phenomenal.
you watched last night, the Shogun won some awards.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yep.
Japan is absolutely amazing. A lot of Americans
Yep.
end up moving there.
Yeah. I could see that. I
Yeah,
could see that. I mean,
there was when I was
Americans in
in Tokyo.
general are, yeah.
When I was in Tokyo last year in February, I met a really young 22-year-old Caucasian man,
Yeah.
no college degree,
Yeah.
living in Japan.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You living in Japan?" He said, "Yeah, I just
Yeah.
packed up my stuff and came here."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "Wow."
It's I love when I hear people in the States that are interested in traveling there because in general, I think Americans are very microcentric. And just think that everything that happens in the US is the only thing that's happening, and they just don't have this need to go explore. Not all of them, but a good percentage of them. Um, and so when I hear people in the States that have gone or are willing to go to or have spent any amount of time in a country like Japan, it like gives me a little bit of hope for humanity. You know what I mean? Because that is such a culturally shocking experience. Like you don't know the language, you can't speak the language. It's just a very different food palette. It's just completely different than
Right.
us.
And a lot of young people in Japan, and Japan, I mean Tokyo and Yokohama,
Yeah.
and you can speak English, but they
Yeah.
love it's worth going there.
Yeah. The
Like I
arigato
said,
gozaimasu. That's what I know.
yes. Like at that, I think he was 22. Don't quote me about him, but I think he was 22. I don't know. I think 23, 24. I don't know how old he was, but like he's from
Yeah.
America. He came to
Yeah.
Japan to live there. But you're right. Japanese culture and South Korean culture is amazing to visit the countries there.
What I
Um,
also love about them is their willingness to share it. You know, if you have a question about it or what, they are so open and excited about the question, about showing you,
and
about
we don't sit on the ground.
no, But the chairs are little.
Hmm.
The cups of water are very little.
Hmm. And we
So the
walk. I mean,
portion
Japan.
sizes are small.
Yes, and we'll talk about that. But we walk a lot,
Yep.
and the portion size. I believe that is the normal
Yeah.
way.
Oh, yeah. And it's the same way in a lot of European countries. You know, portion sizes are
And
normal. They're
I'm
not
not talking
American.
bad about America, so folks don't get us wrong. But
I know, right?
the folks, the audience, don't come after us. But
Yeah.
the portion size here in America,
Yeah.
it's not normal. It's
No.
huge.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's just, I think, I think with the wealth and opportunity that is inherently in American culture, comes some things like excess and spending and elite wealth and big houses and big trucks and big meals and big things. And we have the space to do that. If you're looking at Tokyo and you look at the space and the amount of people that are in there, there's no space for a truck.
No, no,
So
but
it's a different
like
thing.
you said, you
Yeah.
loved it. The portion's small. Everything was amazing there in Japan. You should go back.
I'm going, the second I get a chance to, I will. I will. Who's filming? Who's filming in Japan? You need an actress?
There could be there are a couple actors out there. There are people going out there to be an actor
Yep.
to to film and
Yeah.
to live there. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. Definitely
I
go
love
back to
that.
Japan. I'm so glad you loved it.
Yep. Yep. I really did. I
I'm
really
so
did.
glad. Wow, that's amazing. I'm so happy you went to experience it. And did you, if you mind me asking, did you experience the hot springs?
Oh, wait, no, because I went in January, the January right before COVID. I mean, we went
Oh,
probably
okay.
3 weeks before COVID hit. I mean, it was wild, the timing. But I took the bullet train out of Kyoto. We saw the Golden Pavilion. I saw I forget the name of it, the orange, Hiroshima, or not Hiroshima, it's in Kyoto.
I know what
Um,
you're talking about, but mine's
Yeah,
not
I
coming
can't
to
remember the
me.
name of it. I'm so sorry, guys. I really tried. But that was phenomenal. The bamboo forest was phenomenal. The Golden Pavilion was not something that I originally like had on my itinerary, but the gal I was with, my coworker, I was traveling with, she's like, I really want to see it. And I am so happy that we did because you cannot appreciate that every single piece of that pavilion has a piece of gold leaf, right? And it's massive. And you take a picture of it and like, you just can't appreciate it the same way you can with your own eyeballs. That's why it's so important for me to go see things with my own eyeballs.
Hmm.
Because I'm just like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. Like, you can't appreciate, like, it's so gold. And knowing the workmanship that went in to get it there, it's so impressive. It's
Yeah.
just so impressive. Uh,
Wow.
so yeah, such a lovely time. We went down, we saw the little Harajuku girls.
Hmm.
I butchered that as well. I'm sorry. That was super fun. Their willingness just to dress up however they want and live their life, expressing themselves through their outfits and their makeup and their hair. It was so cool. All of the animal cafes were really neat, and that's a part of
Yes.
Japanese culture that I was like, oh, that's so interesting. The fact that pets are not a part of the culture and they're very fearful of animals, and there's a lot of stories and respect about animals and how they're trying to introduce them into the younger culture in a little bit warmer way by having these little pet cafes, right? So that was interesting to learn about. It was just phenomenal. The politeness of everybody. It was just phenomenal. Yeah.
Wow.
And I would
Definitely
love
go
not
back.
to do that.
You definitely should go back.
Yes.
Yes, thank
So,
you. Thank you again for coming on.
yeah, I was super thrilled to be asked about it. It's been a lovely conversation.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, definitely, keep tabs on me. My Instagram is LeeAnne_Bauer, and got a lot of fun projects coming out. I think will resonate with the audience and the industry right now. And we're just super excited about them. It's a labor of love. And like I said, if I could affect change or some sort of connection or relatability with one person, that means I won.
Hmm. Very true. Change, change to make people
Yeah.
happy.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
100%. Well, thank you again for coming on.
got
And I
it.
look forward to having you back on again in the near
You
future.
got it. Absolutely.
I'm going to stay in touch.
Okay. You take
Thank you
care. Thank
again.
you so much.
You have a good day.
All right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.